Hi everyone, Kristy Coromandel here, and I just want to go through with you a few basic paper crafting tools that can really take your craft to the next level. So what I mean is by investing in some few beginner card making supplies, you'll be creating projects with a professional results and a lot less frustration. So let me show you some of those quick tools that I recommend that you have on hand. First one is our paper trimmer. Now, paper trimmers come in all different shapes and sizes. This one here is suitable for mainly your 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. And what I love about this one in particular is that it has a cutting and a scoring blade. Now, most paper trimmers will just have the cutting blade, and you'll be able to buy, should be able to buy a scoring blade to go along with that you can always take out the cutting blade and put the scoring blade in its place. So you want a trimmer that you can do cutting and scoring. You also want a trimmer that potentially has an extendable arm on it, like this one does, and allows you to cut 12 by 12 sheets of cardstock or pattern paper, and can fit that in both lengthways and down this way as well. So you want them long enough to be able to hold a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. The other thing you want to make sure is that you have a ruler. Now this one has inches and centimeters on it, which is great for here in Australia. However, some of you might just have inches, some might just have centimeters. Either way, it doesn't matter as long as you have a ruler at the top that you can measure your increments in when you're cutting. And this one too also has a ruler down the bottom, so that's an added bonus. Another thing you want to look for is maybe you might have a ruler down here on this little plastic sheet here when you lift it up and put your paper in, so you can see as well, measuring that way as well. So a couple of things to look for when you're purchasing your trimmer. So the next thing I recommend is a collection of circle punches. Now, why circle punches? Well, because these are the ones you're probably going to be using a lot of. These are great for layering papers for tags, other embellishments on cards. They come in a wide range of sizing, like this one here's a little 1 inch circle, and this one goes up as large as 2 1/4 inch circle. So some of the things you can use your circle punches for is here I've stamped my greeting, and then I've cut it out using one of my circle punches. Another one, I've created some pattern paper using an emboss technique, and then I've just cut that out with a circle punch, with my largest circle punch, and I've just stuck that to my card as a focal point. Another one here is I've cut my green out, but I've also cut a layer, I don't know if you can see that, of green cardstock on the outside of my greeting, just to highlight my greeting a little bit more. So there's some couple of tips for using your circle punches. The other thing too is when you're cutting or punching out, it's good to have it facing this way when you cut. That way you can see what you're cutting out and make sure you get it in the right window, and then you can punch it out. The other beauty thing about punches, and that they're quick and easy to use, is that they also come in a variety of different other shapes and sizes. So here I've got a butterfly one, and I've also have a daisy punch. But you'll find circles to be very versatile, and you'll love how crisp and perfect your results are every time you punch with them. So the next item that you would need is a stapler. And I love this little stapler, which Stampin' Up! Used to produce. However, you can find them in any craft store, or you can just use a plain ordinary stapler as well. And I usually use this to attach small tags or other little things to gift bags and cards, like this little card here. I've attached my greeting and a little piece of glimmer paper using a staple right there. So the sides adds a special touch to every project, and I like this one because it's nice and thin, and it just helps me get into those really tight places that would be hard to reach sometimes with a bigger stapler. So when attaching your photos or paper to your cards, scrapbooking pages, or even gift bags, you just can't use school glue or tape. And what you want is something that's lightweight but strong enough to hold your paper together. Like an adhesive runner, like this snail, for example, here. It's great just for attaching your stuff to, like little bits of paper to your cardstock or your card base. It just runs so easily and smooth, just like little runner here, and it comes out and you can stick that down. The other thing is tear tape. And this tear tape is really good for attaching things onto 3D projects, that it rolls down. This is one thing that I love about this tape, is that you can stick it down and then you can just tear it with your finger and then take off the top layer, and then you can stick your other stuff together on that. So I like to use my snail adhesive for when I'm putting my greeting cards together like this one. And I like to use my tear tape here when I'm putting some 3D items together, like this little album here, just to create my spine and to have all my pieces sticking together so that it wouldn't fall apart. I like using tear tape because it holds a lot stronger than what snail would for on a greeting card. So for 3D projects like gift boxes or thicker card embellishments, you're going to need a strong liquid glue. And I like this Tombow Mono liquid glue, it's my favorite. And also you can get this fine tip glue pen. Now the difference between the two is that this one has a really fine tip right there that the glue will come out of. So it's not going to come out in big blobs or anything like that. And it comes out clear, which is really good. And then this one here has a little small nozzle at the top, and then it has a large thing at the back, so if you're doing lots of gluing. This here is my all-time favorite glue, and I use it like snail. So instead of using this to put my cards together and sticking stuff on my card base, I actually use this glue. I just like it a lot better. It works the same. So here's a project where I've used my liquid glue, is that this love here, I didn't want it all stuck down. I just wanted a little bit to stick down at the bottom there. And so you can see, I've just added a little bit of glue to the bottom and then stuck that down to my banner that went across there. So there's no glue on here. So that's a perfect time when to use one of these little glues here. This is also good for adding sequins and stuff to your projects. Okay, foam dots or adhesive, or in this case some Stampin' Dimensionals, are great for emphasizing embellishments because the foam here, they actually elevate off the page, really making your embellishment pop. So here I've got it right here on this one, so I've put it behind my balloons and I've doubled this one up so you can probably see that, and it just makes this one here pop out bigger than this one here. They're also a great alternative to a hot glue gun, and you can use them on other materials as well. So here's another example where I've used my Stampin' Dimensionals for my green, just to pop my greeting up a bit on this one here. And the dimensionals come in two sizes. So we have these normal ones, which are about 1 centimeter wide. And then we have these really, really tiny ones. I don't know if you can see how tiny that is. See, that's how tiny it is. And look how big these ones are. All right. They're the size difference. This is about 1/2 centimeter, and this one's about 1 centimeter wide. And so they're really great for putting, popping up your embellishments, or in this case, your greeting, and making your project really pop. To craft with paper, you definitely need, well, paper. And I like to keep a supply of A4 smooth, thick white card on hand for making my cards. And so I cut one of these in half, and I can create my card base out of them. So I like to use my thick Whisper White cardstock for this. And then also you can use an array of other colours, and you can buy your cardstock in packs of colour variations as well. And you can use this to add different colours to your card. So for example, I've used this one here as my card base. I've used my Whisper White here as my card base, but then I've just added the front panel using a different colour altogether. So there's multiple different ways that you can utilise your coloured cardstock. And in this case, here I've used green cardstock as my greeting, and I've got a little bit of green here back as a matting piece as well. So you definitely want your coloured cardstock, or definitely your Whisper White thick cardstock to create your card base. And last but not least, you're going to want some pattern paper. And lucky for us, Stampin' Up! Pattern paper comes in both the 12 by 12 inch, or you can also get some of it in the 6 by 6 inch packs as well. I love the pattern paper because it coordinates with our cardstock, and you can also get matching embellishments like ribbon and rhinestones and pearls and stuff that coordinate with our pattern paper as well. So here's some projects where I've used my pattern paper. So in this case, I had pattern paper that had a bunch of butterflies on it. So I have cut out my butterflies and I've created my card with this. Also, I've got a piece of pattern paper at the background and more pattern paper on the edge here. So there's so much to do with pattern paper. This one here, I've gone and cut it up into strips and loaded it across the front of my card. Here I've just got one big piece of pattern paper and I've put my stamp on it. Straight away I've stamped it with a greeting, like so. So with these supplies you will have enough to get started, and once you're comfortable using these you might even graduate to more advanced supplies like die cutting or heat embossing. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for our Back to Basics series.